The word I can't are a two-word jargon which we have used from time to time. I have used it, you have used it, we have used it on several occasions, even though some of us may have done away with it. There is this thinking in some circles that the moment you say that you can, it has a way of shutting down your mental faculty, so you don't think further than what you have just said. You don't put on your thinking cap and think again. That is as bad as it is. You, however, do not have to bother too much, because most of us have used that word over and over again. You are not the only one at fault. A lot of us have used that word, I can't. In this video, we are going to be looking at the use of that word, I can't. I can't. The word I can't is a two-word jargon which we have used from time to time. At times, even without knowing it, we use that word, I can't. Let me give you an example. Somebody comes giving you a proposal or asking you for something, especially money. The moment they ask you for money, let's be more specific. The moment they ask you for money, there is this tendency for you to say, I can't afford it. I can't do it. Do you think money grows on tree? Do you think I dig money from somewhere? I'm only a worker. I don't have that kind of money you're asking for. The belief in many circles is that the moment you say that word, I can't, it has a way of shutting down all your thinking faculties. You don't tend to think anymore. You just stick to that, thought, and that is all. To a large extent, that is a very lazy person's attitude to life. But if they ask you for something that is a bit challenging, and you begin to believe at the back of your mind that it is something you can do, you will not necessarily say it, that you can do it, but you have to start, you have to start thinking of how to do it, as opposed to when you say that you can't. Once you say that you can't, your mind, everything about you shuts down and you don't have a way of thinking anymore. While some of us have done away with this way of thinking, some other persons, or some of us, still think along this line. No one explains this word, I can't, better than John Devos. John Devos was the person who, along with his partner, brought about, or were the forerunners of Amway Corporation. Amway Corporation, that's American company that grew from strength to strength. It was founded by this man in 1959 with one of his friends. He wrote a book titled Believe. That book explains very well the shortcomings of these two words, I can't. Whatever we are saying here will be taken from, or will be drawing from that book, which I said. At the end of this video, you would have come to understand, or you would have learned the truth, amongst other things, that the only person who can stop you from achieving what you want to achieve in life is either yourself or some of your very close persons like your brothers, your friends, and some other persons who are very close to you. They will tell you many things. Once you tell them that that these are your plans, are your dreams, they will tell you many reasons why you cannot achieve those dreams. And if you don't have good confidence in what you can do, you may just give up. They may be doing it not knowing that they are distracting you, but they will just give you 1,001 reasons why you cannot do it, and you may just give up. That is human nature. But by the time you finish listening to this talk, you remove that chain which was placed around your neck by this "I can't" attitude, and you begin to think like a better human being. Although I've said it and it is very easy to say, but it is not an easy thing to do. It is said that those who aim for nothing, they will aim and shoot and achieve nothing. But those who have a plan, a set out plan, they have an aim of what they want to achieve. They will aim, shoot, and they will achieve their objective. That is how a reasonable human being should behave. It is said that one of the most powerful forces in the world is that power which is in the possession of somebody who has confidence. If you don't have confidence, you don't have any power. But power belongs to those who have confidence in themselves and in what they can achieve. Davos himself told us that even though he's saying all these things, he doesn't have all the powers to explain why it is possible for one person to succeed while another fails in the same environment. That is saying that two persons are put in a particular situation to do business. All the circumstances are the same. Everything is the same. But at the end of the day, you discover that one of them will succeed while the other will fail. He told us point blank that he doesn't have the right answers as to why such things happens. Like he told us in that book, he had a dream, both him and his friend. He had a dream to make a successful businessman. In that book, he told us that he had this dream, which he and his friend have been harboring all the while. And that dream was to make the best and to make success out of their business life. He told us that the type of business you are into, or the type of thing you are into, does not really matter. The only thing that matters is your ability to think and believe that you can achieve what you have dreamt. He was of the impression that what propels or what made him very successful in Amway Corporation was that attitude which he had. What was the can-do attitude which he has? He believes he can do whatever he dreams about. Whatever he has planned to do, he ensures or he believes that he can do them. That was one thing, or that was the major thing that made him very successful in the Amway Corporation, which he and his friends, founded. In that book, he told us that before he and his friends started the Amway Corporation, they had many other businesses in mind. And one of the businesses they had in mind was the airline business. He told us that before they started, he told us that he and his friend had many businesses at the back of their mind, even before they started the Amway Corporation. One of the businesses they had in mind was the aviation business. In starting off with that aviation business, or they dreamt about the aviation business over time, and they went into establishing one. What they did was to pull monies together and bought an airplane. When they bought that airplane, they had one problem or one stumbling block. None of them knew how to fly. They've not flown an aircraft before. So it was a major challenge for them. But they were not going to allow that challenge to stop them from achieving their objective. So what they did was to look for somebody who could fly an aircraft, and they hired that person. That was one problem solved. Then they began to get clients. Then came the time to launch the airline, or to launch the airline services. They discovered that there was no office space. The office spaces have not been built. Because when you want to launch something like that, there should be somewhere you call your office. But it was not available. They did not allow that one to stop them from achieving their dream. They looked for a solution. What they did was they went down the road, and bought something that appears like a fabricated, building. Brought it to that site, whitewashed it, painted it, and placed their name on top of the building so designed. And then they launched the business. Having launched that business, the next stage was to fly their airplane. That was when they discovered that the airstrip has not been completed. That was a major challenge to them. But they were not going to allow that to disturb or to stop them from, doing what they had at the back of their mind. So they discovered that in that area, a stream was running by the side of the airstrip. So what they did was to improvise their plane in such a way that the plane could land on water and take off on water. That too solved another problem for them. So that at the end of the day, when the first student graduated, he discovered that he could only land and take off on water. But at least they kept going. They did not stop. They did not allow that to kill their dream. They kept going. And they were able to successfully complete their dream of having an airline business. The long and short of all this is that it wasn't smooth sailing. They had problems. They had challenges along the way. But the most important thing is that they were not going to allow these challenges to stop them from achieving their dreams. As the challenges or the problems crop up, they find a solution around it. An ordinary person or a very lazy person would have given up in the first instance, even before the first plane was bought. They would have said, I beg, let me go and rest. I don't want to kill myself. But these guys were not that kind of people. They trudged on and were able to achieve their dream of floating and aviation business then. Having gone through the aviation business, they now went into the restaurant business. That's another area where they don't have any experience. What happened was that from time to time they drive into the cities. And because of doing that, they discovered that people were establishing a drive-in restaurant in the cities. So they felt that was what they could also do in their own hometown. So they decided to establish one. But like I said, there was no experience, there was nothing on ground that could assist them. So the first problem was that there was no office, there was no space. You know, when you have a restaurant like that, you should have a space where people would drive in, you should have a space where you do the cooking and stuff like that. But these things were not available. That was one thing that could have, made them to stop their action. But it did not deter them. What they did was to go look again for a prefabricated building, put down there and used it as their restaurant. Then came the day for the launching of that business, only for them to discover that the people who are supposed to wire that place, to bring light into that place, have not done so. But they were not going to allow that snag to shift their resumption or their launching date. So what they did was to go and hire a generator and provided light for themselves. With that, they were able to achieve their major objective of establishing a restaurant. So in reflection now, he said that although the restaurant business may not have been an overwhelming success, but it taught them one thing, or they used it to teach people one thing, and that is that when you have put your mind on something, no matter the kind of challenges you face, you just must do that thing and make sure it is well done. That he and his partner read a book on sailing. He read a book about how someone sailed the length and breadth of the eastern corridor of the US and South America. The person visited many cities and wrote, very interesting article about it. So when they saw that, they decided to try their hands on that. What they did was to buy a sailing boat. Another problem was that there was no experience. None of them had sailed before. None of them has been involved in sailing before. But what they did was to go and, talk to somebody who was into the sailing business. They spoke to somebody who was into the sailing business, who reluctantly told them how to sail, or what it entails. They wrote all these things down, and the next day they hit the waters and started sailing. It wasn't something easy, like he said. It was not easy, but they tried it. Eventually, it worked out to some extent, but the boat had a problem on the way and disintegrated. But that does not, or rather that did not stop them from, completing the voyage. They were able to visit many cities in America and South America, and the coast of America and South America. And they came back home successful. And they were very happy about it. So in trying to answer the question, why do many people, in spite of their dreams, could not do something about it? Why do people have dreams which they end up not nurturing? That brings us to the question of why should anybody have a dream and just allow that dream, at the end of the day, just allow that dream to die? He told us that most of the time, that is as a result of what people, that is very close people, would have told us. In many cases, they will tell us many reasons why we cannot achieve our objective. Like the sailing thing we talked about. A lot of people told them, you are not sailors, you don't have experience. How do you think you are going to do that? But trust the guy, he was not to be deterred. He went ahead. At the back of his mind, he wants to make sure that his dreams are achieved. He doesn't want to begin to blame himself tomorrow. Maybe, maybe not. I wish I had done this. I wish I had done that. He doesn't want that to happen. All he's interested in is to place his hand on the plow and not look back. And he has that belief in his mind, at the back of his mind, that he can certainly do it. The time we just take wholesale what our people, our very close relatives and friends tell us. Because one thing about life is that when people hear that you are going to do a certain thing, which they are not even used to, they will tell you 1,001 reasons why you cannot do it. And if you are somebody who doesn't believe in himself, who doesn't have the confidence, who doesn't have this I can do attitude, you may just give up and allow them to discourage you. But what he's saying and trying to tell people is that, look, if you have your dream, go ahead and do it. You may just discover that you succeed, unlike a situation where you do nothing and end up regretting having done nothing eventually. He told us that we should not listen to naysayers. And most of the time, these naysayers are people who have not even done anything that relates to what they are telling you. But like the average human being, they will give you 1,001 reasons why you cannot, or that thing cannot be done. So if you are not a serious person, if you are not a can-do person, you may just give up and, and forget about what you are supposed to do. If you have a plan, if you have a dream, go ahead and see what you can do about that dream. Do not bother about what people are going to say or what people will tell you. In fact, you should not even discuss it with anybody. Because if you discuss it with people, they will give you reasons. Reasons are very 1,001. They will give you 1,001 reasons why those things, or 1,001 reasons why your plan cannot work. So it is better you don't even discuss your plans with people. Otherwise, they will have a way of discouraging you. Thank you very much for listening.